All right. We live, family, with the general. You already know what time it is. We got some fire today on the political front. We looking at what's happening over in the Persian Gulf, also the Sea of Arabia. See what's going on over there. Uh, it's looking like, man, they ready to shut the world economy down. And how we gonna get? Well, I ain't gonna say we, because ain't no we. Ain't gonna be, ain't no we. Ain't no damn French in here. We talking about the United States. We talking about the European. They asses is gonna be in a world of hurt. You think that goddamn heat wave was dropping people? Wait till this damn they shut down these goddamn straits. You're gonna shut down you know over half of the world shipping. They're gonna have to go a whole nother way, which is gonna require tons and tons of more money, and that's a fact. And with money that they don't have. You see, so now we looking at as we look to the top, we see the Strait of Hormuz. We see the Strait of Hormuz over here, which of course they didn't shut down all the oil shipping coming out of, Qatar, Bahrain, Kuwait, Iraq, Saudi Arabia. You see Saudi Arabia, but Saudi Arabia got a also got a Red Sea front. It got a Red Sea front. And so, but they trying to shut some of that down, because the Houthis control the southern end of the Red Sea, and with the control of the southern, they can shut any type of, trade coming out of the Mediterranean. Because, of course, if you look all the way to the top, to the left, that is the Strait, no, the Suez Canal up there in Egypt. So a lot of trade moved from the Mediterranean up through the Suez Canal down into the Red Sea. But if the Houthis has blockaded the Strait of Bab el Manab, which is the bottom strait of the Red Sea, then it's shut off. Technically, you didn't shut off the three most important uh straits or waterways in the whole Middle East. You didn't shut the Middle East down, you know. And so it was strategic, everything that is happening is, been planned out for years. Been planned out for years. And I don't see, how in hell, you gonna be able to undo all of that. You can't even get the damn Iranians to open up the Strait of Hormuz, because it don't take shit to send a missile up through there. You can get one shoulder rocket, some guy to, sneak up on over there and shoot that rocket off and cause, a whole lot of panic. People not gonna want to go through there at all for no reason, no unnecessary reason would they want to go through there, and risk their life, risk the shipping, whatever products or oil, whatever come mostly oil coming up through there, and so the United States is saying, or it don't. What Donald Trump is saying, it don't matter because United States gets so much oil, they got so much oil of their own, and so, but goddamn, what about the rest of the world? You didn't went over there and fuck shit up. Real talk. You didn't really fuck shit up. These is all wars. These is when you think about the Crusades, when you think about even from the Roman times, it wasn't oil then, but for the same reason, these once you map things out, and you look at all the choke points on the planet, always been the choke points. These are not new choke points. Even in ancient times, these were the waterways in which people took to get trade across, the planet. So they've known about these these choke points, these very strategic areas on the planet that, is necessary for you to be in some type of power. Now you think of the Houthis. The Houthis in Yemen, they ain't that rich, but they got power, because they could shut that goddamn strait down right there. And you could bring all the planet damn there. You not the whole planet because you got certain areas, but for the most part, the whole planet is gonna feel it. You got even Far East with the Chinese and the Japanese and the Koreans and so forth. When they train with Europe and they have to come up through there. Now they might get them a pass, but even the Asians have to come up through the Strait of Bab el Manab, and that is the strait right there between Yemen and Africa. Okay, it is the strait between, and it's very strategic because if you shut that down, you have technically shut down the strait, the Suez Canal, which is up there in Egypt. If they can't get out the damn Red Sea, then there's no need of even coming up through there. It's just, so both of them is connected. Now, Saudi Arabia could get out of there and get through this, but that'll be about the only country. Now, they could Saudi Arabia could, look out for the other countries and, but look what you got to go through. Kuwait, you got Qatar, you got all the other ones, Straits, United Arab Emirates, or Oman. If they want to shut all them down from coming up through there, then they could. So how would they be able to get? Well, Oman don't have to go through the strait, and I think United Arab Emirates don't necessarily have to go through the strait neither. They probably got ports on, outside of the Strait of Hormuz that they could ship from. But Qatar, Bahrain, Kuwait, they locked in. They locked in, and I don't know if they got a plan B, whether Saudi Arabia will let them, ship oil through there, and tax them, and but that's the that's your competitor. That's your competitor. So would they help Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar? Would they help them? Who knows? Maybe for a fee. It would cost you to get, but you would have to come through the land unless they got some form of, some piping, because I believe they do. That's what it is. Because Saudi Arabia always knew that, Iran would try to shut down uh, the Strait of Hormuz. So they got pipes, that lead all the way to the Red Sea. So they put them in there many, many years ago. They put them in there many, many years ago so they can get out on the Red Sea. But, for the other uh countries, it's a wrap. So it wasn't that way until Donald Trump and Netanyahu took their raggedy ass over there and started bombing Iran. It was open. It was open. And so they saying that, Iran was trying to acquire some nuclear weapons, which they have acknowledged that they have. But, that's probably after the fact, after y'all done assassinated all they damn leaders who wouldn't try to get a damn nuclear bomb. You didn't went over there and knocked off 50 leaders, and then you wonder why they trying to, well, who wouldn't want to get a damn nuclear bomb? to keep you from running up in their house any chance you can. You know, you'll fight Iran, but you won't fight Russia. You know, you won't fight North Korea. You won't try to run up in there. You assuming that you know, Iran wouldn't be responsible enough to have nuclear weapons, that they probably would launch them off on the Israelis, which they see as, as usurpers. They are usurpers over there. They just got over there. 19, what was it, 45, something like that, is when they came over there. And, they took the land, and they've been taking more and more land since they've been over there. And so, but what's crazy, them Israelis got nuclear weaponry. They got nuclear weaponry. And so, thank you, family. And so, yeah, it would be hell. It would be hell on earth, because the Iranians and the Israelis, man, them motherfuckers is two maniacs. Both are maniacs, real talk. And so that possibly would be the first nuclear war on the planet. That would be the first. That I would believe, because they both hotheads. They ready to bomb and kill, maniacs and shit. Ready to bomb and kill. And so if Iran was to get nuclear weapons, it'd be a wrap. It'd be a wrap. And so, but how they, and the Israelis, they don't follow behind nobody but themselves. And so a lot of people think, United States ain't got no control over them Israelis. They've been talking shit. They've been talking shit. They like fuck the United States to a certain extent. United States, he said they acting like Trump getting weak. They like he weak. He wanna backtrack now. He shouldn't have never took his ass over there. Cause if he wasn't gonna fight, once you get to knocking off all their leaders, you are at the point of no return. You're literally at the point of no return. And so, which means that they're gonna want revenge no matter what the deal is. Nobody gonna let you knock off 50 of their damn leaders, and they don't want revenge. So what kind of deal is they looking to really, man, really take it to the United States economically, and just shut the whole motherfucker straight down. Don't let no American affiliates to come up through there at all. And what you gonna do? That's crazy. Whoever told, see, Donald Trump got that weak ass secretary of defense. He's weak as fuck. Real talk. He should get rid of he shouldn't have never put him in there. First and foremost, he's not a general. He was a major. He was two ranks down from a general. And so, he went in there firing all the generals and the admirals and shit, because they not gonna respect that's military. How you expect a general to respect a motherfucker two ranks down from him? So when they was telling him, all the things that they wanted, and they running this Donald Trump and this head self, they talking this DEI and all of that, and they trying to get rid of all the black generals, and I don't know if there any black admirals, but trying to get rid of all the black generals and shit like that. And you fired a lot of top people. You fired a lot of top people that was qualified. Now you got a damn army and military, with some ass kissers. That's what Donald Trump, he wants some ass kissers. He not a military man. He's a businessman, and I don't know how, he is a billionaire, but he's a businessman. He's not a military man. And so he should let them generals and admirals run the military, the right way. And he didn't do that. I can understand getting all them fruit cakes out the military. I can understand that aspect of it. But then they got to find so many of the generals and the admirals. It just put the United States military in a real critical predicament because now you don't have qualified leadership. You don't have qualified leadership. And so head self, like I said, who was a major, ain't no general gonna really respect, especially somebody that ain't never been in the position of, the battlefield, being in the leadership of a battlefield or, a certain amount of, ships. And, you are in some of these admirals in control of a whole fleet. They done been, running all type of operations and shit. You know, they got experience in that. And here head self come, he's a fucking Fox News damn frat boy. He act like a frat boy, all that moose, and he think he Fonzarelli. And so now you done fucking overplayed your hand over there in the Middle East. You overplayed your hand big time. Cause you shouldn't have never I could have told you not to fuck with Iran unless you was intent, which is a major war. It's not a small war. It's a major war. It's a major war to fight Iran. And so just thinking you gonna go over there and bomb this, that, and the third, Iran got backup. And then they've been planning on this for a very long time. They've been planning on this for a very long time, so they done already dug in over there in the mountains. They're just like over there in Afghanistan. When they went over there in Afghanistan after bin Laden, yeah, man, they was all up in the caves and shit. You know how long and how many thousands of years they've been carving all through them caves and shit. They got tunnels probably for hundreds if not thousands of miles and shit up and through the mountains. And them damn Iranians then did the same thing. So they got a lot of that shit hid up in the mountains, up under the mountains. And there's no way you gonna be able to get over there and see where that shit at without putting some boots on the ground, which is there's gonna be casualties because you dealing with the Iranians. They've been fighting. They not like a nation that the Venezuelan. They ain't been fighting nobody. Them goddamn Iranians been fighting damn near just like the United States. They've been fighting consistently for many years now. So they battle hardened and shit. So when you drop them damn soldiers down over there, they gonna be up against some motherfuckers that's ready to fight, and which is you gonna have casualties, and so the United States military, where they ain't. I mean, the last time they've been in a real war was in Iraq. That's been many years ago, and they went over there, and it was a problem. They eventually reduced them down to defeat, but look how long it took them, and look how many motherfucking soldiers they lost and shit to do that. And there was certain pockets over there. Uh. Yeah. 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 They most definitely not they not gonna just run up through there, and they know that they gonna have. And so and you run up over there, and they don't have the nuclear shit, or is it worth it to go? Because you're gonna have to fight. And even then, what are you gonna do? You still gonna have to take over a part of the damn country to keep them off of the Strait of Hormuz. How you gonna stop that? Unless you just hunt every motherfucker down, which they did in Iraq. They hunted every motherfucker down that was affiliated with Saddam Hussein. They hunted them all down, but look how long it took. And they understood that. And at the end of the day, I still don't think they got all up. They didn't get all of them, but they got enough of them. And that's the same thing they would have to do uh, with Iran. So that was a fucked up situation that they got. And he looking silly. He's looking silly because he's literally, in order for him to reduce them people down where they gonna come up off of that straight, he would literally have to fucking drop a nuclear bomb on their ass. You know what I'm saying? They would, cause like I said, when you think about them caves and the mountains over there, the Russians and the Chinese and the North Koreans, they done been digging up under that damn earth. So they got some tunnels up under there where they could bring shit in and you don't even know where it's coming from. And so, I'm quite sure that, they helping them, in more ways than one. And so, with that being said, you really fighting a war with Russia, in which they already fighting in Ukraine. So this is more than just a war with Iran. This is a war with Russia, China. It has already begun, and for them to go in it weak like that, and he's saying he had to go over there, whatever, that's what he said, that they had to go, that they would have had a nuclear bomb in weeks. Maybe they would have. I think one of the Iranian generals have admitted to uh, pursuing the nuclear bomb. And so if they had to do it, but you still was weak when you went over there. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. They did, yeah. The Iranians, yeah, they conquered India too. They did. Yeah, a lot of people jumped on the Indians and shit, man. The Indians they be losing some damn wars over there, you know what I'm saying? They let the Mongols jump on their ass too. The Persian, the Mongols, I think, did Alexander go in there upside their head? They be losing some damn wars and shit. But Alexander jumped on the Persians. He whooped their ass. He put the beat down on their ass. I don't say it to, you know. And so yeah, so that's and the Crusades and shit. They have been going back and forth with the Crusades and shit. And I believe in one of them Crusades, yeah, in one of them crusades, the Iranians destroyed Jerusalem, and so they see in Islam they see Jerusalem as the third holiest city in Islam. So they see the occupation of the Israelis as a sacrilegious, for them to be in control of Jerusalem. They see it as sacrilegious. They don't see them as the rightful bloodline of Abraham. They don't see that. But anyway, I was just looking when you talk about the approximate percentage of total world trade, Suez Canal is 12 to 15%. So when we talking about, shutting these areas down, at the top to the left, you see the Suez Canal. You got 12 to 15% of world trade coming through there. You talking about 12 to 15%, about the same going through the Strait of Bab al Manab, which is at the right there with Yemen, and you talking about 11% of world trade move through the Strait of Hormuz. But when you start talking about oil specifically, it goes up much higher than that, much higher than that. And but even dealing with shutting down, it's more than just oil moving through the Strait of Al Manab and the Suez Canal. You shutting down Europe. Europe would have to technically go out the other side of the Mediterranean and sail all the way around Africa. That's a long way. That's a fucking long way, man, to have to sail. the Europeans would have to come out of the Mediterranean, sail all the way down the west coast of Africa, turn the horn, what is it, the Cape, what's Horn, Cape Horn, down there in South Africa, you know, and then you wherever you going into Asia, then you have to, come up again. That's crazy, and America would have to do the same. It would have to sell all it would and it would have to sell all the way. Well, its European trade wouldn't be no problem because it could sail right into the Mediterranean. But anything going like to Asia, over there to Koreas, well, I guess you could come out of you can come out on the Pacific. You can come out on the Pacific for that. You can come out the Pacific for that. But that's along, but other than that, the oil and shit, the oil aspect for a lot of people and like the Asians coming up through there, you're just gonna have to reroute. And then the oil but getting the oil out of there is the most important thing. And they wouldn't be able to do it. They just wouldn't be able to do it because the Strait of Hormuz is shut down. So they really got the United States, really got their ass in a stranglehold right now. But anyway, family, I appreciate. We're gonna tap back in on this. We're gonna tap back in on this. Make sure y'all stay tuned. Make sure if you have not subscribed, subscribe. Get a video a thumbs up. Like it because you love it. And I'll be back real soon. Black Pop.